Welcome to Kicked Back, a home for football fans that want to stay up to date on everything going on in the football world. Join Caroline, Liam, and some special guests along the way as they talk about all the trending news around leagues, players, teams, and much more. Now, all you gotta do is get comfortable and kick back, because we're about to get started. Episode 2 of Kicked Back. Caroline, Waz, Liam in the house, and for everyone listening, Waz is wearing a PSG jersey, which is slightly concerning because he claims to be a United fan. So I'm starting to wonder how that's even possible.
This is Rabiot jersey.
It's not Rabiot. It's
Ibrahimovic.
Ibrahimovic.
Respect on Ibra on the back, but the Rabiot comment is justified. And that's perfect segue into the beginning of this episode. Manchester United obviously having a tough opening match against Brighton, 2-1 loss. Waz, what was your initial reaction?
Oh, it was just a very lackluster performance. it was basically more of the same from last season. You kind of went into that game with a little bit of hope and think, oh, maybe things will be different under Ten Hag. And then I think it was the first 17 seconds where Brighton actually almost scored off kickoff. And I'm like, hopefully this doesn't set the tone of the match. But it didn't. And Brighton, honestly, were just a better team. They were the better football team. And like I think Lucas said on Sunday League Pundits, he was like, oh, was Ten Hag managing Brighton? Honestly, that's kind of what we wanted from United, but no, Brighton pressed well, they contained possession and pounced on United's mistakes. United just couldn't do anything, honestly. Like maybe a shot here and there, but it was just the same old United from last season.
What did you think of Eriksen playing striker?
Well, that one was kind of interesting. I didn't mind that too much. I think it was better, obviously, when he dropped back later into midfield later in the match, but you had to get creative with Martial injured and Ronaldo on the bench, and maybe Ronaldo's just not fit right now. So,
but sorry, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was about to say my moment of the game was Ten Hag benching Ronaldo, like the baller.
I swear to God, Ronaldo. There was more retention on Cristiano Ronaldo being on the bench than Manchester United's play
and his facial expressions. The guy kills me. I love it. Go ahead, Liam.
Did you have to get that creative? Like I just don't.
I don't know.
I just don't know if he had to do that. Like it just didn't seem necessary to have to play Eriksen as a striker. Like so, apparently Eriksen played striker in Ajax in the youth team, which was like 15 years ago. You have talent on this.
I don't even know what the point of. Like, yeah, it was very confusing.
And the thing is, too. He didn't even play striker.
No, he just dropped back.
He just dropped back immediately.
So like,
Fernandes was the highest.
Bruno
guy,
more like a center forward, kind of a false nine. I don't. Yeah,
it kind of felt like that's what they were trying to do. Like it felt like they were trying to trick Brighton, but in the same sense, they tricked themselves because it was just so unorganized of where guys were, and I just don't know why. Like I get Ronaldo, like all that stuff's been happening. You kind of got to send a message, but like Elanga can play striker. You could probably put Rashford down the middle if you really wanted to.
He used to play striker for a bit.
Exactly. Like, even putting Eriksen on the left probably would have been a better idea than having him right down the middle. And then in the second half, when Ronaldo came on at the weirdest time, why not just sub him at halftime instead of 5 minutes in?
You know when teams are really in the dumps and then managers try and do something special, get really creative, and it doesn't make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. It also doesn't make sense that Rabiot right now is the highlight of Manchester United talk.
Yeah, I generally don't know why they're interested or linked with him. Like that's the last midfielder you should be going for.
This is what I mean. It's confusing to what Liam was talking about, and then now when we transition into the Rabiot conversation, I feel like Manchester United is just picking at straws right now and saying a Hail Mary to any type of solution.
Any name.
Any Rabiot of all midfielders. Like the guy.
I don't know what connection he has to the club. Is he friends with someone? Like
so apparently this wasn't as knee-jerk as it seemed. Like this was been in the works for a while because it's not because they lost that they're getting him, but also bringing him in, like, is that fixing your Fred and McTominay
No,
issue?
not at all.
Like,
that's the problem.
I think the issue can be fixed by just playing Eriksen a little bit deeper. And I would have Fred in there too. Like I don't mind Fred. At least he works hard.
McTominay, on the other hand, is a Can I swear on the spot?
Absolutely.
Fucking shit. Oh my God. Jesus.
Young Waz growing up right before our eyes. Listen, obviously United failed to sign midfield depth in the summer. Right?
Yes,
De Jong
which
was
I don't
heartbreak.
get at all. Like they've been stuck on De Jong for the past 13 weeks.
But then to think Rabiot is that solution makes no sense. And obviously a guy that was in the past maybe known for his passing. Last season, he averaged 30 passes per game and didn't complete more than 82% of them. It's a scary stat. And he also only completed 2.49 progressive passes, ranking him in the bottom 12% of midfielders in Europe. Like, that's scary. Yeah. He's not the solution for United based on those stats. And I know that you can't only use stats to see if a player is going to do well in a different league. But when the guy only has 6 assists for 129 games in Juventus, I mean, and not only his football skills, but the guy's a head case. We know that he's had altercations with Ibrahimovic. We know the situation with his mom as his manager. Is he the solution in Manchester United's locker room? No. I mean, is he a solution anywhere on the map?
Not at all.
It's scary.
Not at all.
Even the Austrian striker they were trying to get,
Arnautovic.
He literally got kicked off of West Ham, essentially, because guys didn't like him.
I'm so confused.
Stoke didn't like him, and he's played in China for the last 2 seasons. Now he's in Serie A, but it's like, I feel like we've seen this before. Like, Falcao came in as that veteran striker.
That was really random.
What was the other guy they got from Watford last year?
Igalo.
Oh, Gallo.
A couple years ago. He actually came from China.
Yeah, came from China as well.
He was
they
not
must
too
have
bad.
some kind of link there to China. I don't know what they're thinking. But Manchester United, China is not the answer in this situation.
Right.
So the only one that's really worked of the older guys they brought in is, funnily enough, Ibrahimovic. Like, out of all of them, I guess you could say Ronaldo too, but I feel like he's a bit different because he's still really good, and so is Ibrahimovic. But these guys, like, it's just so pointless. Like, what are you building for? He looks so concerned.
Yeah, he's just like, you see you know that that meme where the person's standing there and there's like the math equations? That's how I see Waz right now.
I'm just trying to, like you're calling out like Ibrahimovic. Ibrahimovic wasn't bad at the time. Pogba was like okay at the time. Like they seem to be pan out fine at first, and then they kind of falter, and then Schweinsteiger.
Oh, Schweinsteiger.
Yeah, I forgot about
throwback.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I have a Schweinsteiger United actually.
I remember when he went, because that was the same. Was it the same summer as Ibrahimovic or the one after?
It was the same one, actually.
The same one, and there was so much hope around the team. It's like, yeah, but these guys are like 35 years old. Like, they're not young anymore. They're not the world-class guys they are.
Or it might have been the year before, I think.
It was around in the same era or whatever. I think it was 10, not 10.
It was between Van Gaal and Mourinho.
Yeah. And now, I don't know.
Well, Rabiot, clearly, I think we can all agree that Rabiot doesn't make sense.
No, not at all.
The only thing this makes sense to do is bringing in depth to your team. That's essentially it.
Which then Malinkovic Savage is another trending topic of conversation for United supporters right now. Does he come in from Lazio? 11 goals, 11 assists.
I don't think they'll sign him. Would he be a great signing? For sure, but he probably cost them around 80 million, I think.
60 million pounds is what it's rumored to be. Maybe
I'd
closer to 70, some reports are saying. But again, better to me, of course, than Rabiot, and there's no disrespect to Rabiot. That's just the situation. I'm more worried about Rabiot from a locker room perspective. I don't know if he's just the right solution overall, but Malinkovic Savage, this is a guy that has been rumored to join United for a while now, and at least he does impressive work at Lazio. And I mean, you can't really say the same about good old Rabiot.
No.
So I don't know, Waz. You guys, but here's saying this. I'd like to say this. Yesterday I was on a TikTok live and we were talking with all the football fans. To everyone watching from TikTok live, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you guys. I don't think you can look at the first game of a Premier League season or any season for that fact and say this team's going to do horribly and it's going to go to, the shitter. I don't think that is possible. It's game one. Manchester United is dealing with some adversity, to say the least, but it's a long season. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And a lot can happen from game one to the end of the Prem. Yeah. And it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So maybe Manchester United has some solutions under their sleeves. Again, I don't think it's Rabiot, but we never know. And I don't think we can sit back as football fans and just assume that Manchester United's going to, shit the bed.
On to back of that point. So one season, Bolton beat QPR 4-1 to start the season. QPR were the newly promoted team. Bolton hammered them. Gary Cahill, great goal. That season, Bolton finished 18th in the Premier League and QPR finished 17th
there you go.
On the Aguero goal.
Aguero.
Oh, wow. That's yeah.
And Bolton got relegated. So, Manchester United, I don't think you're getting relegated. But
no.
It's all Brighton.
Could you imagine?
But it's
The year Leicester City won the Prem.
Yeah,
Let's talk about. I mean, how much did that one guy win? Millions of dollars who bet on Leicester?
Yeah, whatever it was. I can't remember, but yeah, someone did it.
No one at
Very
the beginning.
smart.
Yeah, no one at the beginning of the season would have assumed that that's who would have won the Prem. And look what happened. So, I think it's a difficult time to be a United fan, but I don't necessarily think we're at a point in time where we can just absolutely write off Manchester United and assume that nothing's going to happen.
Like a year now.
Yeah, it happens. Little
I'll give you
adversity.
some positive if you want, was.
Yeah, let's
I
get
thought
some
the
positive.
second half was way better.
They were a lot
They were
better.
way
100%. Yeah,
I thought when they brought in the fullbacks more into an attacking role, they actually got stuff into the box. Rashford must have had like 5 chances. Like the one,
and then
even
he squared it in front of the keeper.
yeah, the one where he was offside but hit it right into
Yeah.
Sanchez. Like you got to score that, even if you're
And even
offside. You've got to
Bruno
have
in the
that
first
like,
10 minutes just skied it.
yeah,
So
you got to have that like momentum there where it's like, oh, okay, I can score a goal if I want to. And even like Fernandes missed that chance like 5 minutes into the
I
game.
know.
If he had scored that, that would have been a completely different game. It's not doom and gloom. You guys will be fine.
I agree.
You just got to play striker. I think that's the key.
I think we need to
Don't play Fred and McTominay. Like I just said it, but like Fred's okay. He can play. He gives you an effort. McTominay, I shouldn't go into depth in. I'll be here all day, but he cannot play for Manchester United.
What do you think about Mr. Maguire?
I thought he was okay. Like
Everyone
he is
hates
what he
him.
is.
I will
But,
be
like,
honest.
I just think it's so difficult when you have no support in front of you. Because
Yeah.
you 2 defensive midfielders in Fred and McTominay just overcommit to everything, and it's so far up the field that when you get back, it's like, okay,
I'm actually
defenders.
I'm actually
Like,
wondering right now, is Harry Maguire the most hated athlete on the planet right now?
Definitely in football. There is so much Harry Maguire slander
Yeah.
on football social
It's
media.
either
It's
him
not
or
even
Ronaldo.
normal.
it's so unfair.
It is
It's so
unfair.
unfair.
This poor guy.
He's just not playing well. And like it's even in his post game, he was like, I can't remember the exact quote, but he essentially said like how much of a nightmare start to the season this is. It's like, is it it's not like you lost to Fulham, you know, or
Brighton's a good
Bournemouth.
team. I like Brighton.
Finished 7 points behind Manchester United last season.
Yeah.
They're a good team.
They lost some players, but
They lost their 2
got a
best
good
players,
manager.
but exactly. Graham Potter's a really good manager. It's not as bad as it seems. Like there's a lot of positives still to take from this. You weren't even fully healthy.
Well, I also think that says a lot about the MO in the locker room.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, for your player to be saying that after day one says a lot about how toxic the locker room is
Yeah.
in Manchester United right now. And I think at the end of the day, the locker room has way more weight and importance than I think really anything else. Because if you have a team that's not necessarily as talented on the pitch, but their camaraderie is high and they respect each other and they're working hard together as a unit, they probably will do better than a team like Manchester United right now, who obviously has talent on their squad, but chaos.
Yeah.
So, well, guys, it's episode 2. Maybe by episode
Yeah.
22, we're going to be saying something different about United.
I-
And
I-
Waz will be back in his Manchester United jersey.
I shouldn't say this as a Bolton Wanderers fan, but the Premier League's better when United's good.
yeah, it is.
It is
Yes,
better.
I would
true.
It
agree.
is better. It's like any sport.
And now they're
When
allowed
those
to-
big teams aren't as good as they should be, it's not as fun. Like I remember in basketball one year, like the Lakers, the Knicks, and the Celtics didn't make the playoffs, and it wasn't as fun. And now it's like, okay, United need to push and be better so we can see these Manchester derbies. And when Liverpool go to United, it's actually a good game. And
Yeah.
like, Arsenal United get that rivalry back again. Like it's just good. One last thing I'll just make. What the hell was David De Gea doing on that first score? That was absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, a lot of people-
How did he not get that? And also, I'm pretty sure the second goal was also his fault. He needs to be better for United.
I love Liam's
Yeah, it's funny because they also just let go of Dean Henderson. So
And he was so good.
Yeah, so that's
He was
the thing,
good for
right?
Forest.
I love it. Let's move on to opening day performances because there were a lot of big opening day performances across all leagues, basically, with big star players. So it gives us a lot of fun things to talk about. I want to stay on the Prem right now because I want to talk about Manchester City beating West Ham United 2-0 and the 2 goals that came from Erling Haaland, obviously in his Premier League debut. Man, is this guy
Oh, he's
built.
gonna be so
One,
good.
he's built for the Prem. 2, if he can stay healthy, he's going to destroy the Prem with Kevin De Bruyne. And I'm going to already put in my vote for the Champions League. For Borussia Dortmund in 2020, he scored 85 goals in 88 games, averaging 0.96 goals per game. He has the best midfielder in the world behind him. Kevin De Bruyne, after that game, went to bed thanking his lucky stars that he has Haaland on his team. Because no matter what way he plays Haaland, if it's a ball over the top, if it's a slotted ball through like we saw against West Ham, if it's a cross, Haaland, being the machine he is, has a 0.9. He scored 0.96 goals per game. He has a solid chance of getting it in the back of the net. What a freaking pleasure to watch this guy play. And I get chills talking about it because I will watch every Man City game this season solely to watch the connection between De Bruyne and Haaland.
Even Greg on Sunday League Pundits, our buddy, he's like, you know what? Erling Haaland makes Man City just more enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. Yes. And it's day one.
Yeah.
He definitely brings a different dynamic to the team than like the other strikers they've had. Like they probably haven't had a tall striker like him since Edin Dzeko.
Yeah,
and now
probably.
They can actually like attack on
the thing
crosses
is, Erling Haaland, for how tall he is extremely fast.
Yeah, he's
so athletic.
He's so like, is this guy even human?
It's kind of scary to watch when he just puts his head down and he just bolts away. It's like, as a defender, when you see that, you're like, oh no.
He can shoot from anywhere.
How am I going to stop this guy? You've almost got to foul him.
Yeah,
you almost just got to hold him back and just kind of be like, okay, I'll just take the card here.
One thing that I thought was super impressive, he's a young guy. How old is Haaland?
Oh, I got it right here. He is... Oh, no,
22.
I don't.
He's 22 years old, right? Coming from Borussia, obviously made his Premier League debut, gets taken down in the box, and he has the confidence to pick the ball up and take it to the penalty kick spot. That to me is so impressive, to have the confidence to do that, not only as a young footballer, but in your Premier League debut, to hopefully your first goal is on the line. He did it without any hesitation and absolutely nailed that penalty. That was a textbook perfect penalty.
Yeah, like it was no hesitation for him. Like you said, like he knew what he was wanting to do with it, and he put it right in, did his signature celebration. I think that's a Dragon Ball Z thing, right? That's what it is.
I don't, maybe
I'm
it's
sure
just a
it's
calm
something
one.
like
I don't
that,
know, but
this, the way he was just able to pounce on that ball, and like you almost saw it, and you're like, okay, goal. Like it was just so instinctual, and there isn't many players, not only in the Premier League, in the world, that like when they get the ball in those positions, you're like, okay, this is going in, and they're just going to be so exciting to watch. And I'm just excited to the best part about it is the two wingers are both English. So that's good for me. Like they can get used to delivering to him. It's like, okay, then Harry Kane's in the World Cup and that'll work through. But I'm excited to watch that front three, like Foden and Grealish, and then like you said,
I've always liked Grealish.
De Bruyne's there too, and it's just my goodness.
I thought the pass was better than the finish for that goal. I'll be honest. Like the way he just threaded that, like I don't even know.
On the second goal,
can you even blame West Ham's defense on that? Like,
no,
I don't know.
Honestly, Kevin De Bruyne, watching him, you're almost reminded, for me personally, that when Canada plays Belgium in the World Cup, you may even need to man mark that guy for a solid 90 minutes and shut him down.
The best part about, I know this is way ahead, when Canada Belgium is, you're gonna have the two best midfielders in the world facing off, Eustachio and Kevin De Bruyne.
Kevin.
I tell you, man, when Eustachio plays for Canada, different sauce.
You're so funny, Waz. Yeah, no, that pass, you don't get better than that. And that's what I'm saying. De Bruyne is just in heaven, knowing that he has Haaland in front of him. Now, Liam and I were saying off the pod, it's just a matter of Haaland staying healthy and staying in top form to be able to achieve all that. But I'm going to put my hot take in right now. I think Haaland's going to win Golden Boot in the Prem this year. I think he's going to net 26 goals. 26 is a lucky number for me. Last season, Son and Salah won the Golden Boot. They split it because they both had 23 goals each. So I think that Haaland's going to surpass that and take it.
Do you think you can compare Haaland to a young Wayne Rooney?
No.
In terms of just the way he scares defenders and can just bully past through
them?
I think they're just different players.
Yeah?
Like
different.
I think Haaland's just a natural goal scorer, where Rooney had a little bit more to it. He's a little bit more edge to his game and stuff like that. I don't know if Haaland necessarily has that kind of side to it. Actually, he does, but not as much, I don't think.
Let's also think from a casual football fan's perspective, or someone who's just watching highlights on TV. When you see Haaland, you're like, oh my God, I would not want to take this guy on 1v1. I don't think Rooney had that same type of fear when you would see him almost, and I say that respectfully because Rooney was unbelievable in his prime, but Haaland, like for example, my husband was watching the City game and he's like, oh my goodness, this guy's huge. And I said, yeah, and he's fast, and he's agile, and he has skills, and he's a naturally born finisher. Like, he has it all.
It came from the Borussia Dortmund factory.
Borussia Dortmund, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I'm putting my money on Haaland this year. You guys think I'm crazy or what?
No.
No, I think...
I don't think you're crazy. Like, I think you'll be right up there. I just wonder what other guys are going to be able to do too.
Yeah, I mean...
Like, Tottenham's front three is so good. They scored 4 goals and Harry Kane didn't even get one, I don't think. And
Yeah.
like, you know, like, when's he going to start chipping in?
Son.
Son's so good.
Yeah, and even, like, honestly, like, even Ronaldo. Like, if he stays for the full
Well,
season,
yeah,
like, he's going to compete for it.
if things can shift in United... Salah's always going to be
There's
up
so
there.
many, like-
Maybe Darwin.
But I don't know how many of those teams, like Liverpool, don't have the same midfield as what City do. United don't. Tottenham don't. Like, he's just got, like, we named the 3 players right there. Grealish, Foden, De Bruyne, and we didn't even say Mahrez. Like, there's 4 players right there who is just going to feed Haaland all season long. And, like, Salah almost does it himself most of the time. Like, Kane's probably closest with the talent around him, I would say, like, feeding him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure Grealish doesn't wear shin pads. I don't think he does.
They're about as big as your phone.
I was looking, especially in that game against West Ham United, and I'm looking at his socks, and I'm like, there's no way he has shin pads on. Yeah, that's just a side note.
I love Jack Grealish. I enjoyed watching him at Villa.
I love Grealish too.
Maybe that's why everyone fouls him.
Yeah, and he also has the best hair.
Great hair.
He's got great hair.
Great hair.
Yeah, I think we don't give him enough credit as football fans.
That'll be the next episode. The all-hair team.
Well, seriously, we'll dissect footballers' appearance. Love it. Quick sidebar, I was impressed with West Ham United first half. I thought that they did a pretty good job containing City. Yeah. I think that they clogged up the middle pretty well. I'm pretty sure they high-pressed them right off the get. And they kind of eliminated that middle lane, which obviously you want to do when you're playing against the best midfielder in the world, that is Kevin De Bruyne. But I think that they tried to bounce back a little bit after Haaland's first goal. Obviously, City being the better team. But West Ham United, I wouldn't count them out. Maybe another dark horse this season.
I think they can push for a Europa League spot for sure. I think it's between them and Newcastle for kind of pushing the top 6. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more from West Ham because I think they're a better team than what they showed. Like, I agree, like, defensively and structurally, like, they were really, really good.
They were really good.
You're going up against Manchester City, right?
Right.
But also,
it changes a little,
They finished 7th in the Premier League last season. They're a good team. And, like, in the second half, you could see they tried to push a bit more, which kind of contradicts my next point. Because when they pushed and opened up, that's when City was able to capitalize.
We also have
the second goal.
The most expensive English player right now in Declan Rice.
And, probably the best English midfielder right now, to be honest, in that position. Yeah, I like him. Should we talk about Fulham?
Yeah, let's talk about Fulham.
What
do you
a
want to talk
game.
about? It wasn't
Just how
it was an insane game.
unbelievably well they played. I was pretty confident Fulham was going to get relegated this season.
I think most people have them getting relegated.
Yeah,
so.
But here's my first knee-jerk reaction. There is no way. If they play like this every week, which is going to be extremely difficult, there's no way they're going to get relegated. They need centre backs. That's my thing. Like, they need to have better centre backs. But Mitrovic was so good, and he wasn't just good as a striker, like finishing. Like, he obviously got 2 goals.
I know,
but he was so good at winning the ball back and playing deep and like running with the ball and just, I guess, just proving everybody wrong.
Yeah, the thing is with Mitrovic, he's always proven he could do it in the Championship, but he can never deliver in the Premier League. I think his highest goal total in the Premier League is like 11 maybe when they've been up here. I mean, so
he had 43 goals in 44 Champions games last season. That was the record, by the way. And he scored 2 goals in that game against Liverpool. But for me, like, I'm just kind of piggying back off of Liam's point. It wasn't necessarily just about the goals. He powered through Liverpool. Like, this guy took out Trent, absolutely, ragdolled Van Dijk a couple times. And, whether you want to say that was a penalty or not, in my opinion, Van Dijk's feet got stuck in the mud and he could not move them against Mitrovic. And I think that says something about Mitrovic's skill and power and his ability as a striker. I was super impressed with him, and just kills me because Liverpool fans, if they would have won that game, they would have been like, yeah, like we're Liverpool, whatever they all say when they win. But then now that they tied, and obviously Salah to the rescue, it's just like, oh yeah, it's opening day. It's day one. We can't read too much into it, but Fulham did unbelievably well, to your point, Liam.
I think one thing that definitely played into Fulham's advantage is nobody expected this. Like, nobody expected them to press the way they did and be so aggressive. Like,
I love that, by the way.
Fabinho was invisible. He couldn't do anything at all. And even like Robinson on the, where did he play? Left side. He contained Salah so well in the first half. I think eventually the fatigue got to him a little bit. Like, it's so difficult to contain that front three. Mostly Diaz and Salah. I don't really like Firmino that much anymore. Like,
he's kind of past it.
I think he's going to be better coming off the bench.
Yeah.
But Polina in the center of midfield was unbelievable for Fulham. He was so aggressive on the ball. Like, he wasn't as good with the ball at his feet and like running with it, but he was really good at tackling. He worked really hard. I thought when he was moving the ball quickly, he was very important to the team. And if I'm a Manchester United fan, I'm honestly pretty pissed.
Yeah.
Like, Fulham can get a guy like that.
That's my
he
point.
He was playing in Portugal. I can't remember what team he was on, Porto or Sporting. But if you're Manchester United, you've sat there like, how do we have Freddie McTominay and Fulham go out and get a guy who played in Europe last season?
Man United can't just scout players like that, like a Paina or like even like a Renato Sanchez and Ligue 1, right? Like,
because they're too focused on Rabiot.
Yeah, for whatever.
Yeah. I guess Liverpool's summer signing, Darwin Núñez, I thought he played really, really well when he came on. He had a bunch of chances. Like, I'm glad he got the goal to kind of shut everybody up a little bit. Like, this isn't just a guy they signed off the street. Like, his price tag's heavy, obviously 85 million, but at the end of the day, he scored Champions League goals last season. He's already scored 2 goals this season with the Community Shield on as well. Like, he's going to be an important piece, and I felt like the game definitely changed in Liverpool's favor a little bit more when he came on the field. Like, he had a bit of a lazy comeback on one of the Fulham's chances, but besides that, like, I thought he was causing a ton of trouble in the Fulham box, and they couldn't really contain him that much.
Yeah, I think the rivalry kind of that's forming between him and Haaland is going to be very interesting too. There's been a lot of comparisons between them,
which isn't fair.
No, definitely not. 'Cause he's coming from the Portuguese league. Haaland's coming from Bundesliga, so
yeah, it's so different.
Salah, though, a lock on opening day, scoring every opening day for 6 years straight with Liverpool, setting a Premier League history. So I know everyone calls him the king of Liverpool, but does he start becoming in the conversation, at least present day, as the king of the Prem?
On opening day, he does.
But he's also up there by the end. I mean, he won Golden Boot last season. So
yeah, I see it. Like, that's my thing too. I do feel like Salah is somewhat disrespected in that regard. Like, I don't know why people seem to never really give him the credit he deserves. He scores so many goals. I know. I don't get it. Like, as a winger as well, he's not a striker. And like, there's something about Salah that some people just can't seem to give. I don't know.
I'm with you, Waz. I totally agree, because opening day is a lock, but also by the end of the season, when he's winning that Golden Boot, do you sit back as a football fan, not necessarily even a Liverpool fan, and say he's the best guy in the league? Now, that's a tough conversation to have because the Prem has many great players. I think De Bruyne's the best player in the league. But from a striker perspective, in consistency, do we ever look at Salah and wonder if he's the guy?
Well, I just pulled it up here. The only time he hasn't scored 20 goals in the league was actually the year Liverpool won the league, funnily enough, which is quite
ironic. Was also a short season.
Yeah, well, he played 34 games that season, which is the fewest he's played in the Premier League. But I forgot my point.
It's okay. It's okay.
He's really good.
He is. Yes, he is. He is unbelievable.
I remembered.
You got it.
So something to consider for Salah, I think, on the second half of the season, he's not going to the World Cup.
No, he's not. Because Sadio Mane
knocked him out.
out.
So it's going to be interesting to see after the World Cup, even with Haaland, like, those guys are going to be so rested. Like, I think something to consider on that end is, like, even teams that are going to the World Cup, like, teams that aren't going to make it far, that are, like, just playing for a couple of weeks, you know? And then you get, like, a massive break, and then you get back and you get all these, hopefully, England players who go far, and, like, the French, Brazil, whatever it is, and it's like, okay, well, these guys have just played a month straight, whilst half our team just sat on the beach and waited and watched it on the telly. Like, it's something interesting to think about. Like, I might do a little bit of research and just see, like, what teams are going to be affected the most by this? Like, who's going, who's not going? Like,
yeah, let us know, Liam. I'm wondering from a player perspective. For me, when I played, I would always rather be busier and playing more than more rested, because I felt like when I had some time off, I'd lose stamina. I'd lose a touch on the ball. It's hard to stay in that top form when you're not playing. However, the guys going to Qatar are going to be dealing with the pressure of a World Cup, time change, international football, which we know is a different beast than club football. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the World Cup plays out and how it affects club soccer or football.
And we literally have no idea because this has never happened before.
Yes,
This is
just to be so excited.
the only comparison we really have is like the African Cup of Nations. But even then, like, it's such a small sample size of players coming back to the Premier League or wherever. Like, it's so hard to tell, but like, it's something to consider. Like, when these teams come back, it's like, okay, well,
even around that time, you usually kind of have like FA Cup, like the or I think the Premier League, like you have the Boxing Day.
yeah,
special,
like, they come back on Boxing Day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna be tough, I think, for these teams.
Anything else on the Prem?
Yes.
Okay, let's hit it with Newcastle.
United. Oh my goodness, this was unbelievable. I haven't watched Newcastle for a while because, well, I watched them.
I heard they're very fun to watch.
Towards the end of last season, they were better, but they've never been what they were on Saturday.
Can you tell us why, Liam?
They were just, every time Forrest got the ball, there was literally nothing for them to do. Like, there was no option. Like, Newcastle were there immediately to just dispossess them, and it just seems to have chance after chance after chance. It was unbelievable to watch. Like, St. Maximum was incredible. Like, he was so exciting.
It's a Gucci headband, man.
Yeah, and I felt kind of bad for Nottingham Forest. It almost felt like they had a bit of stage fright. When Jesse Lingard got the ball, he was trying to create stuff, and like, he was able to do a little bit, but they just had nobody who was able to help him out, and it just seemed like whenever they did attempt something, it was just immediately gobbled up by Newcastle. And Dean Henderson, funnily enough, was really good as well. Like, it was only 2-0, and if you get a chance, like, go check out Newcastle's first goal. It was like a 25-yard screamer.
Was it from Fabian Schär?
Yeah, right into the top corner, and that's what it took to beat him. And even like their second goal was a really nice goal from Callum Wilson. He like come across, and then he just kind of dinked it right over Henderson. Like, it took two really good goals to beat him. And I'm gonna say this. I think that Newcastle are gonna push hard for Champions League this year.
Now you never know.
I don't think they'll get there, but I think they're likely the team that finishes 6th or 7th.
Okay.
And it's going to be interesting. Like, even Chelsea on the first day, they were so boring. Like,
boring.
They made Everton look like a decent team, which they might be if they can get a striker too. Like, missing Dominic Calvert-Lewin for Everton is tough, but like, they defended really well. Like, in the first half, Chelsea had like 15 corners, and that's not even an exaggeration. Like, I legit think it was 15, and there was just nothing there for them. Like, they just couldn't create anything. Sterling was probably their best player. Like, he was the only one like making runs and all that stuff, and they just sold Timo Werner, so that's another striker that hasn't worked out for Thomas Tuchel. Lukaku, he didn't want Tammy Abraham, and it's like, okay, well, what are you doing then? Like, who's scoring your goals? Because you just don't want to play with a striker. And at one point, you just have to look at the manager and be like, okay, like, we have enough talent on this team to compete for the league, but you don't want to find somebody who's going to score goals. And also Mason Mount, I didn't even know he was playing until he was subbed.
I liked Cucurella when he played.
He was good. Yeah. I thought Koulibaly and Thiago Silva were really fun to watch. Like, they were just they just shut everything down that came to them. I mean, granted, like, Everton didn't have many threats going forward. Like I said, like, Calvert-Lewin was out, and that's going to be huge for them until they find somebody. But James Tarkowski was really good for Everton, I thought. Good signing from Burnley. And like, Everton might be okay this season. They might scave off relegation if they can find someone to score them goals, which is an if. Like, Calvert-Lewin will do it. He's just injured. So we'll see what happens with them. But like, Chelsea's got to figure it out. United's got to figure it out.
And everyone go watch Newcastle when you have a chance.
Yes, I would highly recommend. I think they even play Brighton this week. So
that'll be a good game, hopefully.
Also, Aston Villa's got to figure it out too.
Yes, 100%, because they lost to Bournemouth somehow.
Liam, by pumping Newcastle so hard, you might see Waz next episode in a Newcastle jersey.
I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, same maximum moment.
Yeah, they got the vibes, man. Vibes FC.
All right. Moving on from the Prem, let's talk about a player that the Prem probably already misses, which is Sadio Mane, who also scored in his Bundesliga debut, which to me is insane. Scored 29 minutes into the match. Here's the thing that I'm very impressed with by Sadio Mane. He exited Liverpool. Sorry, that had a minor brain fart. He exited Liverpool in July of 2022, and he entered Bayern Munich by August and already scored his first goal. That's a 1 month period of leaving Liverpool, which he was at for 6 years, and now going and transitioning into a completely different league and adapting so quickly. Like, you can't even just talk about his physical skill. His football IQ and how he's able to do that mentally is super impressive. Guy deserves a lot of credit. He was there for 1 month, comes out in his debut, scores, and was an integral part of the 4th and 5th goal too. So, mad props to Sadio Mane.
You know, it's scary that Bayern beat the Europa League winner 6-1.
Yeah.
Frankfurt won the Europa League, and it's like, is the league over? Bayern. Is Bundesliga done already?
Yes. Like, I think, how many teams are in Bundesliga? 18, I think.
Yeah, around there.
There's 2 leagues in the Bundesliga.
I think Leipzig drew their first game.
It's Bayern Munich and then whoever wants to
Dortmund used to be. Dortmund's maybe still competitive. I'm not too sure, but
on a Sadio Mane thing, and I think even to like flip it onto a Bayern Munich perspective, like him and Lewandowski are such different players.
I know.
Yeah.
So to be able to figure out how to then manipulate Mane into the team whilst literally not missing a beat is incredibly impressive. Like,
right?
they have obviously an incredibly talented team, but it's just a little different. Like, like Mane isn't as physical and isn't as tall and like that kind of stuff. Like, where he's just like more skilled on the floor kind of deal. And like, they're gonna be such a fun team to watch in the Champions League this year. Like, they're gonna be way more on the floor, I think, and like kind of in runs and all this kind of stuff. Like, maybe a little bit like City, I suppose, with like the pace up front that they now have. Like, I don't know. What do you think, Was?
Bayern?
Yeah.
They'll be Bayern as usual, to be honest. There's no real... I don't know. It's because they've been kind of going through a weird transition without Lewandowski now, so...
But, like, maybe sometimes change is good. And we'll talk about Lewandowski here in a second. But to Liam's point, he's not similar to Lewandowski in any capacity, but that change up top for them could be really good, and we saw that against Frankfurt.
I'm interested to see how they'll do in the Champions League. I think Bundesliga is obviously usually a lock for them. I mean, it has been for the past 10 seasons. So it's just how they, it'll be interesting. I don't know.
And Alphonso Davies, my favorite left back in the world. I always get heat for that when I say that on social.
Who's better? Cancelo, maybe? He'd be
that's what everyone says.
Yeah,
I don't think so either. And let's talk about it.
I got a bone to pick with Cancelo.
Okay, let's hear it, Liam.
The fact he's wearing number 7 now?
Don't get me started on the numbers, Was. Okay, so there was a point in the City game where I can't remember if I think he fouled somebody. I can't remember if it was a foul or a throw-in. And he looked at the linesman and went like this and like put it over his eyes as if say like, you need glasses. Like, man, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, you can't do it. Like, it's kind of funny. Like, if it's like, it's funny. And then you're like, but man, like, there's so many people watching this. And I saw someone actually commented on the Neymar TikTok we put out. Like, when I'm at practice, like, kids say like, oh, he Neymar'd and stuff like that. It's like, it's not a good representation for these young people who are watching the game being like, oh, now I can go up to the refs and say like, oh, like, did you go to Specsavers and get your glasses?
You just get sent off
like that. Like, it's so unnecessary to do in a game. And I think as like a professional, especially like when you play for City, like, you're almost guaranteed to win every game. There's no need to like be petty calls and stuff like that. But yes, I think Alphonso Davies is probably the best in the world. And also, like, we've got to consider that, like, he just had a heart condition. No, I don't know. I just like Davies a little bit more.
Here's the thing, Davies, and I don't want to say they're similar positions, but he plays striker for Canada, left back for Bayern. Obviously, similar roles. As a left back, you're up and down the flank. Your job's to cross the ball in. With Canada, he is more in a goal-scoring position, I'd say. But the guy's versatile. He's athletic as can be. He's like a monster.
He's very strong.
He's good at defending. He's very strong, like exactly to your point. And he can finish.
Played left wing for Vancouver as well. When he was, that's where he started.
I don't know if there's anyone, when I think in terms of athleticism and power and even raw football talent, anyone who can really say that they are better than Alphonso Davies when he's on his A game. I think that if he's able to have a blowout World Cup, he's going to get way more respect than he's getting now.
Yeah, I think the problem with Alfonso recently has just been injuries. Like, he's always had some sort of injury
bad
or
luck.
the heart problem. It's just bad luck, and
so
hasn't
skilled.
been able to be consistent, right? And when he is consistent, I think he's one of the best in his position. There's no real left back with, his kind of like frame or
Exactly.
It's like
he's athletic,
Yeah,
man. You look at him, he's deezed. He's so strong.
I mean, a lot of people
22.
do like
22 as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's young.
Not old.
Taylor Hearn. Oh, yeah, that's my problem with football is that people think like a player's not going to be there at their best because they didn't reach their peak by 22,
Yeah, it's true.
Everybody thinks a footballer should be at their best by 22, 23 yet. Like, Lewandowski didn't break on the scene until he's like 25.
That's such a good point.
Like-
I always, when I was growing up, people would say, "Oh, this player's so good," and I'm like, football's different, maybe than any other sport, because if you don't, with each year that you get older, if you don't progress, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
And we see that a lot where young players are supposed to have this like blowout season because they had a blowout World Cup or a really good tournament, and all of a sudden they kind of get left behind because they're not continuously growing and working on their game, or not necessarily working on their game because I'm sure they are, but they're not keeping up with the rest of the competition. Football's a different beast,
Yeah.
Waz. I agree with you with that.
I think an example would be Martin Odegaard because he didn't break out at Real Madrid and he was so hyped to be the next great thing, and then he comes to Arsenal and he's performing very well.
And who was that guy on Mexico? Dos Santos?
Oh,
Do you
yeah,
remember his
Yeah.
World Cup,
Dos
Giovanni Dos
Santos.
Santos, when he had a really good World Cup, and then
Yeah.
he went to Barcelona and you really never heard of him again?
Yeah, and even I think Carlos Vela is kind of like that
Yeah.
too. Like he
Vela,
just
Vela,
never
Vela, Vela.
never took off when he was in Europe, and then he goes to the MLS and like kind of thrives a
Yeah.
little bit. I have an Alphonso Davies story if you guys want to hear
Yeah.
it.
Go ahead.
So I've never met him, but actually I got two stories. Maybe I'll dive into the other one. It's about Michael Buble. We'll see. Wow. So me and my buddy went to Vancouver. Well, he lives in Vancouver, and we did a stadium tour. And we were in the dressing room, and this was Alfonso was still playing for the Whitecaps. We were going through, and in the dressing room there was nothing in anywhere besides a pair of flip flops. And on the walls, so in their dressing room they have like the picture of the players in the stalls. And I sat in Alphonso Davies' stall, and I just kept looking at these flip flops. I'm like, man, this guy's gonna be pretty good. I like wonder if I should slip a flip flop.
You slipped on his flip flops.
Oh, no, I was gonna slip him out of the dressing
Yeah,
room.
he steal
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was about to say,
yeah,
Liam
yeah.
just tried them on for a quick second.
And I like said to my buddy, I was like, man, this kid's gonna be like really good player. I was like, we should maybe take a look at these. And then we didn't take him. And then
I
like
would
a
have.
week later, he signed for Bayern Munich. I was like, damn,
Damn, missed opportunity.
that could have been my
hilarious.
moment.
You could have been sitting on some money right now,
Yeah,
Liam.
and I'm pretty sure they had like AD on the side
Sick.
or something like that.
So would you have kept them or would you have sold them?
I think I would have kept them,
As
to
you
be
should.
honest, like because like you can't really prove it,
Put him
right?
Put him like in a
it's just-
glass box, like.
Yeah,
But I feel like Alphonso Davies is cool enough that if you tweeted him and told him, "Hey, I have your flip flops," he would have been like, "I was looking for those" or
Yeah.
something. And then all of a sudden, your stock in the flip flops goes up. And I think that Alphonso Davies in the next, let's say 6 years, the next decade, stock's really going to go up because we're going to see it this year at the World Cup. I'm calling it, and then obviously in 2026.
Yeah.
So.
Well, maybe we could have had a flip flop collab.
Could you
This is
imagine?
true.
So,
What would that look
Alfonso,
like?
if you're listening, something to consider. Well, I think we would go red and white for
Okay.
Canada and England.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what
You
would your stake in the collab look like?
Well, I'd obviously be the star.
Not Liam's face is on the flip flop.
yeah, Alfonso would be my manager. I don't know, like something. Maybe I'll write some notes down. Also, to add to that, I met Michael Buble on that same trip.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Did
there
you
you
buy a
go.
lottery ticket? Another missed opportunity,
I
Liam.
was in Stanley Park, and me and my buddies were sat on a bench. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's Michael Buble, and we went over to him, and we were like, hey, Michael, can we, like, we're friends, can we grab a picture? And he was like, no, guys, sorry, I don't take pictures
Really?
when I'm with my kids. Like,
Oh.
and
Oh,
dad."
makes sense.
And we were like, okay, no problem. Like, thanks. He's like, no, but like, we can talk and stuff.
Oh.
So he like owns the Vancouver Giants or a WHL team, and like we were talking about hockey and just like his music and stuff, and like
He seems
Vancouver.
so
And he was like,
nice.
oh, that is so nice.
He's so nice.
Yeah, there you go. Everyone.
Nice,
My trip to Vancouver.
nice,
8 years ago.
nice W from Michael Buble. Also, W from Alphonso Davies saying he's going to donate his World Cup money to charity.
Yeah, that's cool.
I love that.
I love that
He's a
too.
young. Okay, let's his age. He's young, but I feel like he's very mature and he has a very good perspective.
Which is good.
Granted, his story, being born in a refugee
He's been
camp.
through so much.
He's been through so much.
Yeah.
His story is insane. And just how much he appreciates, and you can tell how much of an honor it is for him to represent Canada and the gratitude he has to the country for helping him and his family, change their lives. So him saying that and him doing that is amazing. I also think he's just a really good role model for young up and coming players who might have a similar situation, and for players that one day when they reach that level, maybe think about something different and something good that you can do with your money.
Yeah, 100%. And it was cool to see him play in Edmonton. I think that's probably one of his highlights of his career, I'm sure, to play in his front of his
100%.
and get 2 wins.
It's
a shame he couldn't score, but
I know
it was awesome to see just the game itself and just see him on the field. And he's definitely him, and the rest of the Canadian players have brought a different perspective of Canadian football to everyone, and it's good to see. And I'm hoping, knock on wood, they can make some noise at the World Cup. I don't even care if obviously I care if they make it to the next round, but even if they just perform well.
I just want a result. Just give me a good result and I'm happy.
I think they can do well.
I think they will. And guys, we're going to do watch parties, so stay tuned for that. We're super committed to the results here, especially for Canada. But man, again, maybe mark Kevin De Bruyne and shut down certain players. Maybe they might have to designate one player in their roster to do that. But and no disrespect to Croatia and Belgium, but I really think Canada has a skill set that is unknown.
Yeah.
And talent that teams and managers may not know about. And that's going to be used to Canada's advantage. Plus, John Herdman has a lot to prove. I think maybe he has a few. I wasn't a fan of John Herdman taking over the Canadian men's national team at the beginning, just of the way he transitioned out from the women's side. But I think he's done a solid job. And I think, again, this whole team, top to bottom, is going to surprise people.
I agree. It's going to be very exciting.
Okay. Lewandowski making noise with Barcelona. But man, anytime I talk about Lewandowski, scoring his first goal, 2 assists in Barcelona stadium, everyone's like, yeah, it doesn't matter, because when it comes to La Liga actually starting, which is what, next week? I think it's August 13th.
Yeah.
He's not going to play because Barcelona can't register and sign their players. What the hell is going on in Barcelona?
It's such a mess. And it just... I am glad that someone has stepped up and shut this down.
Thank God.
It's just about time that somebody intervened with this, and they just go. They've asked PK to take another pay cut. Well, he did that last summer to get Memphis Depay, and now you want to sell Memphis Depay. So why would he do it? They've asked Busquets, they've asked Jordi Alba, they've asked a bunch of guys, and now they're telling Frankie De Jong he has to take a pay cut. And then he said no, but they won't sell him. And now they're telling him his contract is criminal. And all this stuff. It's these are your players. You sign these guys to these contracts. This is your fault.
This is scary.
And now here we are. What day is it? Tuesday.
Yep.
And 6 days away from the first game of the season. And you're not going to have Lewandowski, likely.
Disastrous, by the way.
Yeah. Frankie Kessie. The 3 big signings you made this summer likely won't be playing because you can't figure out how to manage a team's financial statements.
So is this they can't play the full season?
No. So
okay, I was going to say, this is...
Basically what's going to happen is, from my understanding, is they're going to try and sell all these guys. But when they can't sell them, because everybody knows this is going to happen, they're just going to have to release everybody, and then they're all going to sign for free. Apparently, Martin Braithwaite, who has 2 years left on his contract, who's not even a star at Barcelona, is basically told him to go screw themselves. They've not even given him a squad number, and now they're going to release him, and he has a deal signed, he has the paperwork, apparently, to sign a deal in Saudi Arabia to make the same money, but Barcelona's going to have to buy out his 2 years contract.
Whether it gets figured out or not, or eventually figured out, the bottom line is it's messy and it's so dramatic that Barcelona of all teams, Xavi of all managers, does not need this chaos right now.
No.
It's so disappointing.
It is. And okay, you know what? When it was first rumored, remember at the beginning of summer that Lewandowski was going to go to Barcelona?
Yes.
I freaked out, by the way. I was like, it's time. No disrespect to the Bundesliga, no disrespect to Bayern Munich, but I've been waiting my life for Lewandowski to go to La Liga. Or the Prem.
Yeah, just a different
or
league.
Or the Prem.
Yeah.
Just leave Bundesliga. We know that he's definitely been robbed of 1 Ballon d'Or, arguably 2.
Yeah,
I
arguably
say
2.
2.
Yeah.
I say 2, and I stand firm on 2. Messi fans, we can argue about it. But now he's finally getting that opportunity to play in Barcelona. He's not young. He's what, late 30s now?
34, I think.
Mid-30s. He's mid-30s. He has an opportunity to do something with Barcelona. And we all know that if he's able to, he has a significantly higher chance of winning the Ballon d'Or. But if it becomes messy, if there's drama, if there's all of this noise in Barcelona and he doesn't have that same opportunity, I'm thinking if I'm Lewandowski, I'm like, who's in charge of my timing and what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I'm with you. He's 32, by the way.
32, early 30s.
But
He's 32?
yeah, so he still
Guy
has a
needs
lot of
better
time.
Oh,
skincare.
100%.
Better skincare routine.
It's like I said, it's disappointing that we won't be able to see this for a couple more weeks at least, and just the connection him and Pedri were having in that game was fun, and like Dembele seems to be picking up a little bit. It's like, it's kind of like the Haaland thing. Is like, we can get this with Barcelona right now, but Barcelona just they can't figure it out, and I just want it so bad. Like, I just want to see it, and I feel bad for Lewandowski because he pushed his way out of Bayern Munich, and rightfully so. Like,
I
they
agree.
were looking for his replacement. It's like,
Yeah.
this guy scored 34 goals, 35
I would
goals
love
last
to see
season.
what the behind the scenes was like with them. Like,
Yeah, and they were just like, he's not going anywhere. And it's like, you disrespected this guy by wanting to sign Haaland, and I get it. Haaland's probably going to be the next Lewandowski. But right now, you have Lewandowski.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's scored 34, 41, and 35 in the last 3 seasons.
Well, this is what I mean when it comes to players versus clubs. Like, I sometimes, to my point last podcast, does Cristiano Ronaldo have a right to be selfish? In this situation, Lewandowski did have the right to be selfish because he's done a lot for Bayern Munich. At the end of the day, Bayern Munich doesn't give 2 craps about that.
No.
If they want Haaland, then they can get Haaland. They're going to get Haaland, and see you later, Robert Lewandowski. So the way it was handled, yes, controversial, but if I'm Lewandowski, I'm taking care of myself. And if I have an opportunity to go to Barcelona, which, let's be honest, is probably the most legendary club in the world, and one of the most legendary clubs in the world, go. And if it means winning a Ballon d'Or, which is probably the only trophy aside from, a World Cup that is missing from Lewandowski's trophy case, go do it, my friend. He may never win that World Cup. It's very unlikely to win that World Cup with
probably
Poland.
not,
I hate to break it to you
I
guys.
know.
I know.
So exactly, he's going to take the Ballon d'Or if he can do it, and I still think he has a lot left in the tank. People think Lewandowski's a write-off at this point. It kills me because
I don't know why.
he is, in my opinion, one of the best number 9s in the world.
If not,
It's pretty physical.
If not the best at
He's-
times, right? It's always, I think the number 9 conversation's always fluctuating.
Yeah.
More often than not, he is.
but I think when it's fluctuating, it's always Lewandowski and somebody else.
Benzema, Aguero,
that'll
Flores
be-
over the years.
That'll be fun to watch. Benzema versus Lewandowski.
I think,
this
El
season.
Clasico's going to be fantastic.
It's back.
Ben's,
Maybe,
yeah.
as long as
I found it interesting with Barcelona that this is really random, but Ricky Puig went to LA Galaxy or what, LAFC,
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
He's like 22, and people are like, oh, what is this going on?
Yeah.
A young player going to MLS? This makes no sense. He's probably washed.
People are going to start seeing it a lot more in Waz. We were on TikTok Live
people-
talking about it.
Honestly, people can't stomach the fact that like the MLS can become more of a powerhouse,
will be.
like more of a.
First of all, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Liam, what do you think? Can the MLS become more attractive?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's so much room for growth. I like the way the MLS also has their import thing, though, where they can't have too many non-American players or Canadian, Mexican, whatever it is. But I don't see why not. Like, Toronto just made 2 big splashes this summer. Like, Insigne got his first goal this weekend, which was sick. And, even LA Galaxy, what's the other? LAFC with Bale and Chiellini, like, Shaqiri is playing in
was awesome.
Chicago. Like, you're getting players coming over now who aren't just at the end of their careers. Like, granted, Chiellini probably is, but, like, there's guys now who are coming, and it's attractive. And I've watched a few MLS games the last few weeks, and it's fun. Like,
It is.
because the goal, like, it's a little bit more adventurous. I find that, like,
Yeah.
the defending isn't as good, which makes it a lot more chances to
Exactly.
come, which I think is what makes it fun.
I
But
agree.
I don't think it'll be that long before people start looking at it and being like, okay, this is a legit league. Like, even Chicago Fire just sold their goalie to Chelsea. I can't remember his name. I can't remember how to say his name, but he's an 18-year-old goalie. He's really, really good. And, like, if Chelsea are coming in for you, then, like, teams are clearly looking at this league and being like, okay, there's talent here, and getting players like the 22-year-old from Barcelona is only going to help the reputation of the league.
Yep. My dad and I have had season tickets with Toronto FC since day one. So we've seen this league and even Toronto FC as a team from the ground up. And it's been an unbelievable amount of growth. And I think that there is 2 times the amount of growth to be had, double the amount of growth to be had for MLS. And I think that they're going in the right direction. And I love it. I love it. And I'll share a story of one MLS moment that I was just watching. I'm like, this is exactly why I watch as a football fan. It was Toronto FC. They were playing Montreal Impact at Saputo Stadium, which is in Montreal. And one fan threw a cup of beer at Josie Altidore. And Sebastian Javinko went up to that cup of beer, looked at the fan. I think he cheersed him, and he chugged the cup of beer on the pitch.
I love that.
In the middle of the game. And I was standing because I was working the game, and I was like, I freaking love this. And we don't have enough of this in football overall, that when you have players who come from, obviously Italy and wherever else they're coming from that come into MLS, they bring that spice. Yeah. They bring that flair. They bring that entertainment. They bring that joy that we see in European football.
Brought it for a bit.
Oh my God. Ibra in the MLS was everything. And if I could just, when he said that he was a Ferrari among Fiats, I thought it was one of the biggest comments of all time.
I just found it funny because he's always about him, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to the MLS and dominate it. And like, you didn't win the league though. Like, is MLS a little challenging?
I love him. My one bad thing about the MLS is, and I will stand by this, and I tweeted about this once, the names of the derbies drive me nuts.
Yeah.
The El Trafico. You've got to be kidding me. And there's what's the other one too? The Hellway Drive derby or something like that. It's like Cincinnati.
It's
Columbus,
weird.
And the reason it's like that is because there's a sign between the two cities that just says like "Welcome to Hell" or something like that. It's like, really?
And the thing is, with like,
do we need this?
Football fans in Europe, they can't accept MLS. Like they can't give it any respect. They can't give respect to the supporters, the football. Oh, your chance or fight and win. Oh, so creative. Like they just think there's been some crazy MLS atmospheres, and people are like, nah, that's not good. It's better in Europe. I'm like, are you sure? Like
it'll take time. It will take a Messi or Ronaldo going to MLS to change that conversation.
I hope so.
And I mean, we already heard rumors about 2023 Messi apparently going to take some ownership of Miami FC. Don't know if that's true or not, but I wouldn't be surprised if at some point Ronaldo and Messi, and how iconic would be if they actually ended up on the same MLS team. You just never know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I think that MLS definitely deserves more respect. I think it's trending in that direction. And this is exactly what I said last episode of the podcast, is why I always cheer for Canada and USA in the World Cup. Now it's the first time we can cheer for Canada. But the better that those teams do in the World Cup, the better it is for Major League Soccer. And I will always stand by that, and for the youth growing up in North America.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's better for the game if the US is good.
Yeah,
because they're going to pump money into it so much, and then you get more players like Christian Pulisic. Like Leeds just signed like 4 American players.
Yeah.
Like, half the team's American now, and like it's good to see that, like, those, even like the Robinson guy I mentioned before, he plays for
I wonder if we'll see Giovanni Reyna move back to the MLS, move back to the US, because he hasn't really like exploded as a star in Europe yet.
But isn't he only 19?
He's still very young, but I feel like sure he's had some injuries, but he hasn't really like. I think people were expecting him to be like the next star after Haaland at Dortmund, and now it's obviously Jude Bellingham, and then they have so many young players that they're just gonna burst into the scene.
So he's 19. He only played 10 games last season. I'm assuming through injury.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a chance that happens, to be honest.
Okay.
Not right now. Like it just seems like such a massive step back for him. Maybe he would go on loan in a couple of years, but like right now, it just doesn't, like, his stage is going to be the World Cup.
Yeah.
Like he has a platform too at Dortmund where he's like, okay, it's me and Bellingham. We're going to run the show here. And like, obviously there's other guys around there, but like, I just think it's more likely that I see him in the Premier League or on like a Real Madrid, Barcelona or something like that. Oh, I mean, he is in Germany, so why wouldn't he go to Bayern Munich? Like, that's where everyone goes, apparently, if you play there. So I just think it's more likely that happens than him going back to the MLS right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if eventually he made his way back. His dad played in the MLS for a long time. So,
have you guys seen any MLS games live?
I went to one. It was. Go ahead.
No, you go. You were telling me.
Oh, I was 2019, the 90th minute guys and I. We went to LA and we watched them play New England Revolution
Nice.
because Ibra played and Ibra scored a bicycle kick and I think it was.
He's just
I think it was a draw. They
iconic.
might have lost. I don't know. He just left the pitch as soon as the whistle blew.
He's like, and he can do no wrong in my books.
Yeah.
Everything he does is gold.
I went to one game. It wasn't an MLS game. It was the Canadian Cup final, I think
Okay.
it was,
Yeah.
when I was in Vancouver, actually.
Nice.
And it was Vancouver versus, I think it was Montreal. I don't remember the score of the game. It was fine. Like, it was fun. But that was like, the reason I went was there was 2 old Bolton players on the team. Nigel Reo-Coker and Andy O'Brien. I think Reo-Coker was on Montreal at the time. And Andy O'Brien was on Vancouver. And it was good. I want to go see more, but I haven't made my way out to Toronto or anything recently. So that'd be where I wanted to go, though.
We
If I
got to
was
do a
home right now, I
kickback
would be
trip.
Toronto.
I'm down.
I'll show you guys the ropes, and we'll take you to your first Toronto FC game. And what I will say about Toronto FC games is people who don't even like football will go to watch those games because the atmosphere and the crowd is unbelievable. It's just a really good time.
I've noticed a lot of Polish players are moving to the MLS recently.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know why. I was watching like Charlotte FC. They had 2 Polish players,
Yeah.
and then
I
love
watched
to
that
see
guy
it.
the other day, too. He was good.
Swiderski.
Yeah, he was good.
Is he on our World Cup roster?
yeah, he scored.
Hopefully.
Yeah, he scored in the Euros. I remember.
Okay, good.
Oh,
So,
did he?
yeah, and then also it was Charlotte. No, the game Colorado versus New York. They had a Polish player.
Red
I
Bulls.
forget his name. He starts with a P, but he was at Celtic for a bit,
Oh, nice.
and he was supposed to be like the next Lewandowski.
Everyone, I hate when the people do that. Hey, like people are like, Pedri is the next Iniesta. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, guys.
Yeah.
Nah,
compare.
that's a very, very high praise.
He wasn't
and
on
honor to get.
Colorado. I think he was on
He's
the.
on the Red Bulls?
Yeah.
I don't remember many of the players.
So
But yeah, I haven't been to an MLS game. Would like to go.
Okay,
So
we're
stay-
gonna
good
do a
stuff.
Stay
kickback
tuned on that.
road trip vlog our entire spirits. All right, guys, next episode is on Thursday. Thank you for listening and watching to Kicked Back. Any types of comments, opinions, hot takes, crazy football stories that you want to share with us, we're all ears and we want to chat with you. So let us know and we'll see you in a couple of days. That's a wrap for another episode of Kicked Back, and thanks so much for listening. You can catch Caroline and Liam here every single week on Tuesdays and Thursdays to give you the latest rundown on all things football. Please don't forget to subscribe and give us a nice 5-star rating. Please and thank you. And for even more Kicked Back content, follow the 90th minute on all your favorite social channels. See you next time.